Hello my YouTube friends, how are you tonight? Today I'm going to show you how to use a NexGuide Autoguide, which is this little device here that you can see. And I'm going to show you how to set it up and also how to power it. It comes with some battery powered device there, but I'm going to show you different ways that you can use it. And the best way to use it pretty much with, of course, your Celestron 6SE. Okay, so to get started, this little device here, it is used for guiding your telescope through the night sky up to a certain star, with a certain star, so that when you're doing astrophotography, you don't have to worry about your telescope drifting away from your object when you're taking that shot, that long exposure. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to tell you pretty much. It comes in with, I'll show you here real quick. Comes in with a hand control, okay, and it comes in with a cable that attaches from your autoguider to the autoguide port on your telescope, whichever this could be. And it also comes with a little box here, a little case that has put batteries in here. It's D batteries, D size battery. It's, you put 4 of them, and this should power your NexGuide Autoguide. However, this requires a 2.1 millimeter plug to power it in, with the center being the positive. Okay, so if you happen to have power tank, just like this one here, okay, you can use the power tank as well to power your autoguide. However, this one does not come with a cable that goes with the power from the power tank onto the NexGuide. So you have to be creative. You have to make your own. So for that, I have to destroy a couple of AC adapters. Don't tell my wife about that. And I came up with this cable of myself, of my own. Okay, so there's my 2 ends, and it's about, I would say it's about 7 or 8 feet. So I made it kind of long so that I won't have any troubles with the power tank being all the way to the floor, and the NexGuide or the autoguide being all the way on top of the telescope. So how do we plug it in, or how do we play with it? The instructions will tell you, if you get one of this, that you have to use it indoors first. Why? Because that way you can get acquainted with the menus and the functionality of this. You get to know how it works and how to point it, how to focus it through your guide scope, and you do all that inside. You try to do it inside, indoors, and then once you get that practice, once you get enough practice, then you can go outside and go ahead and start doing your auto guiding with this little device. So the way we plug it in, it says there that the first cable that you will be plugging in is going to be your hand control, which is going down here, is the very first one. The second cable will be your autoguide port, and the very last cable, always the very last cable, will be your power supply. Okay, so here's the device, and I'm gonna get it a little bit close so you know, so you see what it looks like. The first thing you will see here is, let me see if I can get it to focus. Let's see, it's got a preview screen, and if you notice here it's all black. That is because I have a transparent cover, and it's capturing all the light from this room right now, so it's got a lot of light. Okay, so once you plug it in, it's gonna tell you it's gonna go ahead and start looking for a star. But right now, like I said, there's like too much noise into this autoguide. Okay, there's a lot of noise, so for that we can eliminate that noise. And this also works when you're outside by punching menu. Okay, and you go all the way down where it says noise. You hit enter. The noise level right now is at 5. If you increase the level of noise or the level of noise filtering, then the noise will go away. However, bear with me 1 second here. Okay. However, the more you increase the noise reduction, the less you're going to be able to capture a star outside. It also has what it's called here exposure. Right now it's at 512, that's milliseconds. If I hit the minus button, it goes down to 256, and if I hit the minus button again, it goes down to 128. It goes down by half, or it doubles up if I go with the plus. That means right now I'm only repeating or looping, doing a loop of 128 milliseconds each time it's taking a picture. It's taking a picture every 128 milliseconds. So if I increase that, and I can increase it all the way up to 4096 milliseconds, it's going to take a snap or a picture every 4096 seconds for you, which is not very advisable, because at that rate it's not going to be very much of use for your guiding purposes. Okay, so that's enough of that. But what I wanted to show you, what I wanted to tell you, is how to connect this onto a telescope as small as this one. Because even though this is a 6-inch telescope, it is considered to be a little bit small for this device. And it's not the telescope itself, it's the mount. The mount has a payload of 12 pounds. So that means that if you include the telescope and all the devices that you're putting in there, and you pass over those 12 pounds, then you're compromising the gears and the motors inside your mount. So to counteract this, then we use a small guide scope. Okay. Now there is one that it's out for sale, and I believe it's Orion that has it. It's called the mini autoguide scope. It's only a 50mm aperture scope, but it only has 162 focal length. This device will work with scopes that are between 400 and 800 millimeters of focal length. So how did I fix that? How did I fix that? Okay. My Celestron, the NexStar 6 SC, cannot have a dope bar on the top or on the side or anything like that. Neither is the 8 SE. Those are very basic telescopes, even though they give you very good images, and they have very good and very high quality optics. But you cannot put a lot of stuff into them. So the way I did it was, I went out there and got myself a little travel scope. This is the Celestron 70 travel scope. This is a 70mm telescope that has a 400mm focal length which is the minimum requirement for this, and for the size of this telescope, it's perfect. It works perfect for me, so it is okay. Of course, if you have a bigger telescope and you're picturing more faint objects, then this probably won't work for you, because you're not going to be able to find the star and make it appear onto your auto guide while you're doing your astrophotography. Okay, so what's the advantage of this with your NexStar 6 SE? Well, it's real simple. So let me make some space here so I can show you. Okay. What I do have on the Celestron here is a piggyback. Okay, now there's a piggyback here, okay, which will help you to mount any sort of camera, any DSLR cameras or digital cameras, or any devices that has this, I believe, it's a 1/4 bolt, or a little hole that you can put in this bolt in there. And the advantage of this telescope is that it already comes with that, because the telescope itself comes with the tripod, and that tripod has the very same bolt. So in that case, you can attach it to the telescope with no problems. One other thing that I wanted to tell you before we go any further is that your telescope will come with your finder scope, which is this little tiny thing. It's not bad, it's okay, but I prefer the red dot pointer. Okay, and this one, actually I got it from this telescope because I'm not using it anymore. On a previous video I've already told you that I upgraded to a better finder scope for this one. It's got a little bit more magnification, but for this I don't need a lot of magnification. I just needed to point in the very same direction that the telescope itself is doing. So what we do here is we're going to put the telescope, the guide scope, I'm sorry, we're going to attach it here. So once you attach it, of course there's going to be some setting that you will have to do. You have to make sure that both your guide scope and your main scope are pointing on the very same direction, and that's why I have this, and it's already calibrated with the guide scope, and this finder scope is calibrated with the main scope. So everything has to be very well calibrated for you to perform a very good image and do a very good auto guiding on that. Okay, so let's say that it's already there, it's already centered. So now we're going to go ahead and put our auto guider. As with a lot of the telescopes from the Celestron, this little telescope here comes in with it is not a diagonal, it's a image erecting mirror, which means it will give you the image just like you see it with your plain or naked eye. Okay, so let's just get rid of these wires here. If I try to put my auto guide into this scope right here, I'm going to have a little bit of a problem, and I'll tell you why. Because once I do this, I can do it this way through the 1 1/4 eyepiece adapter, and what I will have to do is to bring the telescope all the way to the back, the focuser all the way to the back. And even with that, the auto guider is not going to be focusing on what you need to. Why? Because you are missing this. This telescope is accounting on this. It's taking this into consideration for you to achieve a very well focus on this telescope. So therefore, you cannot achieve a good focusing with the telescope like this, because this is not designed for an auto guide. I know there's a special package that it's sold by Celestron. It's called the Auto Guide Scope package. It's got the scope and the rings and the dovetail and stuff like that, but it's really long and really heavy. By the way, this is only about 1.5 pounds. It's only 1.5 pounds, if I put everything together, the guide scope, the autoguider, the finder scope, the telescope, and even my DSLR camera, which is a Canon EOS 3Ti, altogether I've already weighed everything, and it's 12.5 pounds. So yes, I'm a little bit over, but it's only half a pound. Okay, so it's not gonna do a lot of damage onto the telescope or anything like that. But however, let's go back to this. Because I cannot achieve focus like this with my autoguide, especially with this setting, then I will have to go ahead and use this. The image erector, and the focus will be somewhere around there. Okay, I will put in my eyepiece, look to the sky through the telescope, and find whatever star I'm going to use to do the guiding. Okay, and then once I achieve a perfect focus on this, I will take out my eyepiece, and I will go ahead and put in my guide scope just like this. I know what you're thinking. You're probably worried about, well, okay, this changes everything on the guide scope. It changes the fact that it's not going to be guiding on the same directions, on the right directions. Now it's going to be all flipped backwards. Up's going to be down, left's going to be right, and so on and so forth. The good thing about this is that it can perform an auto calibration with the telescope, which means that once you achieve your focus on here, of course everything should be already attached to your cables onto your scope and your handheld and your power. Once you achieve that, the very first screen you're going to see here is going to be the previous screen with little dots, which means you get some stars over there. The minimum brightness that you have to see here is 10 in order to achieve a very good guiding with this device here. If you have a brightness of, I don't know, 100 or I don't know, a very, very bright star, then what you can do is lower your exposure so that that star is not going to be that bright. You want to go as low as possible, but never to go under 10 on brightness. You can also move through the menu the noise reduction to achieve a better result. So it's a combination between the exposure and the noise that you have to use in order to achieve your right focusing. Once the auto guide is already locked onto a star, or you find a star that's already focused, then you go into the menu and you scroll down and you find the option that's called lock. Just press enter on that one, and that will mean that the telescope will start calibrating that star to put it right in the middle of the screen. It's going to put it right in the middle of the screen. Well, the screen is divided in two, so half the screen is going to be your CCD, and half the screen is going to be your different options and information that you're going to be seeing. So on that right half of the screen, your star is going to be right in the middle once it's locked, once it's already calibrated to that. And once it's already calibrated, then you can go ahead and go to the menu, scroll down where it says guiding. When you hit enter, it's going to ask you, what do you want to do? Do you want to resume guiding? Do you want to stop guiding? Or do you want to do an auto calibrate? And that's where the auto guide calibrates with the telescope. And it doesn't matter that you have a prism or a diagonal or anything like that, or if you have the guider scope, the auto guide straight into the telescope, because it's going to calibrate to the telescope. What's going to do is it's going to move through the cable. It's going to move the telescope up and down and left and right, and it's going to it's going to figure out what movements the telescope had to do in order to keep that star center. Once it's already calibrated, it will go ahead and start guiding, and it will tell you right there, guiding. And once it's already guiding, you're going to see not the big cross, but you're going to see a smaller cross, and your star, instead of being a little dot, it's going to go a little bit bigger, because your CCD is going to start zooming from level 1 all the way up to level 4. So that means it's going to be center right there. Once you do that and it's already guiding, then you can go ahead and start taking your picture, taking your exposure, or anything that you want to. Okay, so when do we put this in? When do we put the autoguide in? Do I go out and just put it in, and then just go ahead and do the setting on the telescope? Nope, it's the other way around. Okay, and I should have said that at the beginning, but the first thing you want to do is make sure your telescope is already center or set up on the sky. And the best or the best way to do it, or the way that this will work a lot better, is going to be if you do the equatorial north or equatorial south. Once you do that, and your telescope is completely aligned with the polar star, or in the south with the south pole, then you can go ahead and start doing all the procedure that I just talked about. On the second part of this video, I'm going to try to show you how it actually works outside. Okay, it's going to be a lot darker. Some things we're not even going to be able to see, but we're going to try to show you how this particular thing works with the camera and everything attached to it. Okay. Okay, YouTube friends, here I am outside. I am already connected to the telescope with the autoguide. As you can see, it is already on the preview menu, which is the very first one. The exposure time is going to be at this time 1024 thousandths of a second, and the brightness of the current star that it's already capturing is at 12, and you can see the coordinates of the screen. You probably see little dots on at the right of the screen. That's where the stars are. So at this point, I am going to get my hand control, okay, which is this one here. It's a little bright because it's all at night and I don't have a night shot on this. So because I already have a preview on this, let's just go ahead and get it in focus again. There we go. I will go ahead and press menu. Okay, I was on the noise menu, but I will go ahead and go up to the lock menu. Okay, I was in preview mode. Now it's going to be lock. It's going to ask me, do you want to know auto lock or manual? You would normally want to go to auto, so that the autoguider will do the calibration by itself. And that's what it's doing right now. It's already locked. It says it's locked. Exposure once again 1024, brightness 14. Once it's already locked, you press menu again and you scroll down where it says guide. Okay, now you have different options. The first one here is a stop, and then auto calibrate and resume. That means continue auto guiding whatever you were doing before. But since I just started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an auto calibrate. Hit enter, which means the auto guide is going to start calibrating. It's going to start calibrating on that. As soon it is calibrated, which is what it's doing right now, it's moving the telescope up and down left and right to make sure that it's got the right movements for the telescope. And once it's done doing that, then it's gonna go ahead and start guiding. It takes a little bit because the autoguider wants to go ahead and do it the right way. Okay, it's moving back and forward, doing all that stuff, and the key here is patience. You're gonna have to have a little bit of patience. See how it is moving. It says 15. Okay, great, there you go. Now it says calibrating. It tells you your right ascension, declination, the brightness of the star, and the two marks at the bottom, it means that it's already centered. If it moves a little bit, it means that it has to send instructions to the telescope to move either back, forward, up, down, left, right. And you just saw it right there where you saw that -1. It just sent a little signal to the telescope to keep it center. So the telescope now is already guiding, and it won't lose that star until you tell it to stop guiding. Okay, to do so, what you need to do is just go ahead and press menu again on your hand control of your autoguider, hit guide, hit enter, and make it stop. Okay, resume. Let's just go ahead and keep on guiding what I got. It's already guiding, so at this point, if you want to, or if you already have, you can already put your camera shooting whatever picture, whatever image you want to. And just to show you, let me see if I can show you here a bit. What I'm looking at right now, it's probably not going to be there, but what I'm looking at right now is the Orion Nebula, and that is why the autoguider was picking on a lot of stars, because there's a lot of stars around there. But if you wanted to do, I don't know, a more faint object, then you could do so. You can just go ahead and move it on to a different star or a different object, and you will have an auto guiding on that. Once again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask those questions. And as always, I am not an expert on this. I'm learning just like anybody else, and if I don't have the answer, I will try different options, different things, so I can answer those questions to you. On another video, I'm going to show you how you can do auto guiding without buying this expensive NexGuide Autoguide, which is by utilizing the computer guider, which is called PhD Autoguider, and your webcam. You can actually do that, and it's really fun to do and really simple. It's a lot simpler than this. You don't have to lock, you don't have to calibrate or anything like that. The computer does everything by itself, but that's going to be on another video. Alright, thank you very much. Clear skies. Bye.